Jesus says to Mary in our Gospel today, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." I think these words will feel particularly poignant for many of us at this time, as we have lost the opportunity to reach out and to be held by those we love, those members of our friends and our family who live apart from us, away from us. We have been cut off from the touch that sustains us as human beings. This has, for myself and for Father Angus, been a particularly different and difficult Holy Week, as we have travelled to the church alone for the sacred Triduum, bearing in our own hearts and actions your prayers, trying to carry your thoughts and hopes with us in what should be a public gathering of everyone and has been transformed into private prayer, cut off from others, cut off from the sight of others. But even as each of us feel this sense of dislocation, this sense of uncertainty about what the future might hold for us, this is the time that the risen Christ breaks into all of this. Not that he takes us away from it, or promises magic solutions to the very real difficulties that we are facing and our world is facing. But the risen Christ shows us that he is right here with us, right in the middle of it all. And Christ's life cannot be frustrated by fear or death or loss. Even as Christ is buried in the tomb, and it seems that the love of God is buried there with him, even the tomb cannot contain him, because Christ himself is the love and life of God. We know as Christians that even as we are separated from each other and forced to worship God in our own homes, in isolation, we know that at the heart of human life, at the heart of creation itself, is not fear, is not death, is not separation and loss, but is rather the beating heart of God's promise, God's love, and God's life, there for each of us. And if Easter teaches us anything at all, it is that we can live through anything that is thrown at us. This is because we do not have to, in the end, generate the resources we need to get through this, to cope with it, but because the resource is given to us as a gift, the gift of a life that takes the shape and pattern of Christ's own life with us. In the form of bread and wine broken and outpoured, in the water that we are baptized into, in the oil that we are anointed with as we are ordained or as we suffer illness or come close to death. The resources that we need are given to us as a gift through Christ's open, wounded yet living hands, by a life that cannot be defeated by death, because it is the indestructible life of God itself. And even as Mary is admonished by Jesus not to hold on to him, to grip him in her anxiety and fear, she too receives the promise of his risen life, a life that flows through her and away from her and flows out into other people's lives, into the life of the world itself. Christ's promise to us, his risen life, is not something we need to control or cling on to. But this is a life and a love that we can allow to flow through us with open hearts and open lives, because Christ's life is inexhaustible and unending. Christ is the one who takes us through death, through separation, through loss, into life and blessing itself. This is the heart of what Easter promise means. John Chrysostom puts it like this in his awesome 5th century sermon preached on Easter Day. Let no one fear death, for the death of our Saviour has set us free. He has destroyed it by enduring it. He destroyed hell when he descended into it. He put it into an uproar even as it tasted of his flesh. Hell took a body, but discovered God. It took earth, but encountered heaven. It took what it saw, but was overcome by what it did not see. Christ is risen, and you, O death, are annihilated. Christ is risen, and the evil ones are cast down. Christ is risen, and the angels rejoice. Christ is risen, and life is liberated. Christ is risen, and the tomb is emptied of its dead. To him be glory and power forever. Amen.